Imagine it's a quiet afternoon. You're sitting on your couch, scrolling through your phone. Everything feels completely normal. But your dog isn't acting normal. Maybe he's pacing nervously by the door. Maybe he's barking at an empty corner of the room. Or maybe he's trying to hide under the bed. You ignore it. He's just being weird, you think. But 10 seconds later, the floor beneath you begins to shake, the windows rattle, the ground rolls. An earthquake has arrived. But here is the million-dollar question. How did he know? For thousands of years, humans have told stories of animals acting like biological alarm systems, predicting disasters long before our expensive technology picks up a single signal. Is it magic? Is it a sixth sense? Or are they just paying attention to something we've forgotten how to hear? Welcome to Simple Things Surprising Histories. And today, we are digging into the surprising history and science of how animals predict the unpredictable. To understand how animals do this, we first have to look at what an earthquake actually is. When the ground breaks deep underground, it doesn't just send out one big shake. It sends out waves, kind of like ripples in a pond. The first wave is called the P wave, or primary wave. This wave travels incredibly fast, moving at speeds of over 3 miles per second. But here's the trick. P waves are very subtle. They are compressional waves. Imagine someone tapping you on the shoulder very lightly. Most humans, we're too distracted to feel it. We're talking, walking, or driving. We miss the tap. But animals, they don't miss it. Dogs, cats, and even elephants have sensory hearing and vibration detection far superior to ours. When a dog suddenly lifts its head or a flock of birds takes flight, they are likely feeling that P-wave tap. The second wave, the S wave, or secondary wave, is the slow, destructive one that shakes the ground side to side. By the time the S wave hits us and we start to panic, animals may have already been reacting for seconds, or sometimes tens of seconds, before the danger became obvious to us. But that only explains the moments right before. What about the stories of animals running away days or even weeks before a disaster? That is where things get truly mysterious. Let's rewind the clock all the way back to 373 BC to the ancient Greek city of Helike. Historical records tell us that days before a massive earthquake destroyed the city, the animals simply left. Rats, weasels, snakes, and centipedes were seen fleeing the city in a massive exodus toward the hills. The humans stayed, confused by the parade of vermin. Days later, the city was leveled. For centuries, scientists dismissed these stories as folklore, until 1975. In the city of Haicheng in China, something strange started happening in the middle of winter. Snakes, which should have been deep in hibernation, started waking up. They were coming out of their burrows into the freezing snow, essentially committing suicide. This behavior was bizarre, but it wasn't the only sign. Chinese officials combined these strange animal reports with data on small foreshocks and changes in ground elevation. Seeing all the signs pointing to danger, they made a bold decision. They ordered the evacuation of the city. The next day, a magnitude 7.3 earthquake hit Haicheng. Because of that evacuation, based on science and nature's warning signs, thousands of lives were saved. So, if the earthquake hadn't started yet and there were no P-waves, what were the snakes feeling? It turns out the Earth screams before it breaks. We just can't hear it. One leading, though still debated theory, is the piezoelectric effect. When rocks deep underground are under extreme pressure, days before they actually slip, they can release electrical charges. These positive ions float up through the soil and into the air. This can change the chemistry of the air and even the water. In 2009, a study in Italy tracked a group of toads in a pond near Aquila. Toads are very sensitive to their water quality. 3 days before a major earthquake, 96% of the toads suddenly disappeared from the pond. They didn't come back until the aftershock stopped. Scientists believe the toads may have sensed a chemical change in the groundwater caused by those shifting rocks. Other animals, like pigeons or bees, might be sensitive to electromagnetic field changes. They have tiny magnetic crystals in their bodies that they use for navigation. If the Earth's magnetic field flickers because of underground stress, these animals might feel dizzy, confused, or anxious, like their internal compass is suddenly spinning wild. They aren't predicting the future, they're just feeling the stress building up in the environment, the same way you can smell rain before a storm hits. So, can we use animals to predict earthquakes today? Well, it's complicated. Animals act weird for lots of reasons. Maybe they're hungry, or maybe they just saw a squirrel. We can't evacuate a city every time a dog barks, but science is trying. There is a project called Icarus that is currently tracking thousands of animals from space, looking for collective panic, moments where animals across a huge area all start acting strange at the exact same time. Until then, we have to rely on our seismographs and satellites. But the next time your dog stares intently at the wall, or the birds in your yard suddenly go silent, take a second to look around. They might just be hearing a whisper that you can't. If you enjoyed this story, tap that like button. It really helps the channel. And tell me in the comments, has your pet ever acted weird before a storm or something happened? I'd love to hear your stories. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.